pleasant good afternoon to all our guests and participants, the organizers, my co-presenters, and maritime cadets, our future lifeblood. I am Iris Baguilat, President of Dohle Seafront Crewing Manila, Inc., the premier Philippine manning arm of the German-based Dohle Group, and chairman of the ALMA Maritime Group, consisting of 64 licensed manning agencies in the Philippines, deploying some 174,000 seafarers. Before I begin, I wish to thank the Sailor Society for arranging this event, the Wellness at Sea 2022 Maritime Schools Conference, and for allowing me to share the legal matters that our industry faces with our audience. Dohle Seafront Crewing Manila is a manning agency providing excellent and quality crewing services to international ship owners and operators globally since 2009. As part of the Dohle Group of companies with expertise in the shipping industry, the resources of Dohle Seafront can tap into allows the company to be preferred one-stop shop crewing firm that can provide timely and suitable crew for international ship owners. I will start my presentation with a question for our cadets. Why are you here? What brings you to the maritime profession? In a live setting, I would ask some of you, but since we are doing this online, I will share the typical response my team gets. First is legacy. Many cadets join the industry to live up to the father's or a relative's legacy as a seafarer. If not, the second is the lucrative salary. Let us face it, the seafaring industry offers big salaries, even to the entry-level ranks. While other students pay for their on-the-job training, maritime cadets flying international vessels get paid while on shipboard training. As Filipinos, our lifestyle includes having a breadwinner or a big provider to the family, and even extended families, and seafaring is one of the professions that could easily address this. Lastly, some would say, to travel the world for free. Seafarers literally travel the world for free. They can jump from one country to another without spending. Some ship owners even pay for their visa expenses. Whichever your reason is, welcome to the Philippine maritime industry. The Philippine maritime industry is a major player in nation building, contributing about $6.5 billion annually from seafarers' remittances alone. We also have an unquantified economic impact from the shore-based maritime sector, such as travel and airlines, manning agencies, training centers, maritime schools, medical clinics, ship managers, PPE and uniform manufacturers and suppliers, and many more. This slide shows a summary of the salary rates for all ranks in tankers, LNG vessels, dry cargo ships, container vessels, and OSVs from the 2021 Drewry Maritime Research. You will see that even at entry level, a seafarer's salary is more promising than their typical land-based industry counterparts. And the upside of being a seafarer does not stop there. As a seafarer employed in a typical international ship owner or principal, you enjoy full insurance for both illnesses and accidents on board. HMO coverage can often be extended to your family members, tax-free income, scholarships for maritime education, expense-free deployment for medical to travel and accommodation are all paid by the principal. Career growth support, particularly in training, and a shorter contract than the typical OFW. These are all exclusive to seafarers. Other overseas Filipino workers would even have to spend for their airfare and medical examinations and pay for placement fees. Seafarers do not. Dohle Seafront is home to many success stories. We have nurtured cadets who have found success in their roles and become licensed and practicing officers and engineers at a very young age. We are also home to cadets and seafarers who found success in following their passion, such as teaching and mentoring, and in arts. We have many retirees who have been with the Dohle Group for their entire careers at sea. Some even had legacies and have their own sons working with us on board our ships. Given all the benefits you will enjoy, and with all the success stories of our crew and others, which you might have heard, it is a very promising profession, right? But let me tell you the truth about our industry that is often neglected. In 1990, our market share in the world, in the global seafarer workforce is 34%. 5 years after, in 1995, we peaked at 45%. Almost half of all the seafarers in the world are Filipinos. But by 2015 up to the present, our market share has dwindled to 14%. Regardless of whether our seafarers' deployment rate increased, compared to the jobs at sea we occupied, our share has significantly decreased. Do you have any ideas why? As members of one maritime industry, each one of us has a role to play in nation building and in safeguarding our industry and our spot as the mining capital of the world. However, we have to see some of the reasons why we are not as dominant as before. I will walk you through this. First is that we face a number of threats. One is the very familiar discussion on the EMSA audit findings. Risk of being de-recognized of the Filipino seafarer officers by the European unions, the risk of being stopped from sailing European flag vessels that could eventually trigger a domino effect. If you go online, look into any social media platform, you will see that this has become a dominant conversation when it comes to Philippine seafaring. The second threat that we face is government red tapes. We have been unable to really overcome processes that should or could expedite the process of deploying our Filipino crew on board ships. But still, we struggle very heavily. We also have seen during the course of the past 2 or 3 years that many agencies have been has been considered as catch-all repositories of all liabilities pertaining to seafarers, even if not called for by the employment agreements. And there we see weak regulations on unlicensed and illegal recruitment activities, especially online. Number 3, also, we face the threat of little understanding and recognition by the government over the strong global industry regulations, the safety culture, and the highly rewarding career and benefits of seafarers in international shipping. The only narrative that we see or hear is that kawawa ang seaman, but we have no clear regulations on really being more competitive as a labor supplying force. And number 4, the biggest threat is the exploitation of the seafarer compensation system and ambulance chasing. What does it mean? The exploitation of Filipino seafarer compensation system, or the abuse of that system, and ambulance chasing has critical impact on the seafaring industry and has reduced the Filipino market share to 14.5% in 2020. This term of abuse of the seafarer compensation system is found in Section 2 of the Seafarers Protection Act. This is already a recognition by government that such an abuse is taking place and has become dominant. In fact, the IMEC has already said that ambulance chasing remains the biggest threat to Philippine seafarer employability. An example to which would be that if there are cases won at the NCMB level and awards paid to the seafarer, despite modification of the award and reversal by the Court of Appeals or the Supreme Court on appeal, the ship owners are able to recover the amount being paid, and to date, they have yet to receive a staggering amount of 1.75 billion pesos over the course of 2011 to 2019. And this is one of the reasons why ship owners just give up and leave the country and do not employ Filipinos, as it is the easiest way to avoid this level of liability. So ultimately, who are at threat? Who are the victims? Because this is not a victimless situation. The biggest loser, the biggest victim is the crew, because then he stands to lose jobs. As you see, if we remain at 45%, even 30% of the market share, you will now consider that in batches graduating from maritime school, you have about 25,000, 30,000 students finishing the 3-year course. How many of them are really absorbed by seafaring? You would notice that of the 25,000, 30,000, only 5,000 get absorbed by the seafaring industry. If we had our original market share, then easily maybe 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, maybe more could really be employed by the industry. Yet, of the 25,000, 30,000 graduating, only 5,000 are employed. That is already impacting you, your classmate, your seatmate in this threat to our industry. For those who have managed and successfully found work on board, they also stand to lose whatever work they have. We've also seen some ship owners refusing to get crew with maintenance medication to avoid liability, or they have set age limits to seafarers. So the crew is the number one victim. The second victim is, of course, the ship owner, not the insurance, not the P&I club, because P&I clubs are not traditional insurers. But the ship owners themselves stand to lose. So our industry has a role to play in nation building and safeguarding our industry and our spot as the mining capital of the world. At Dohle Seafront, we have always been proactive in lobbying and working with the government for maritime affairs. We don't just sit back and wait for things to unfold. We help make things unfold for the best of what our industry can do. When the pandemic hit and hundreds of seafarers were stranded overseas because of international lockdowns, we mobilized our resources and the Dohle Group to immediately charter flights to repatriate and deploy relievers to hundreds of seafarers from different companies. We were one of the first to do so. Dohle Seafront also took a key role in establishing the international gold standard IMEC ITF crew change protocol that provides a streamlined process acceptable to crew change hubs such as Singapore and various ports in Australia. This protocol helped us perform crew changes in the midst of the pandemic and even become the basis of other protocols placed in other countries. We also have been a prime mover to the Alma Maritime Group, lobbying various solutions-driven efforts to the government to protect the mining sector and the employability of Filipino seafarers at the height of the pandemic. During this time, the Philippines had numerous problems that only the Philippines had. Unlike other maritime nations who had their maritime sector prioritized from the very beginning, we had to work our way to inform our policymakers of the importance of our industry and how they can improve their responses and protect it, such as in the enforcement of seafarers as key workers and giving them mobility during the lockdowns, prioritization in the vaccination program, increasing inbound capacity in airports to allow stranded Filipinos to be home. All this on top of our primary role as your marine HR, being the bridge that connects employment from the ship owners and the principals to you, protecting your employment by ensuring you are employable and Filipino seafarers are competitive in the seafaring human resource market. Ensure your safety and protection throughout your tenure. It starts from the moment you are hired in the office, through your pre-deployment requirements, then to your travel to join the vessel, your tenure on board, and until you're back to your homes in the Philippines. Sometimes we even go beyond that as we also partake in efforts for the welfare of our families and your loved ones. On the other hand, aside from the remittances, you will be contributing to the Philippine economy. You have another vital role in protecting all of our livelihoods, not only yours, but all of us, your land-based partners and the future seafarers. As maritime cadets, there will be nothing you can do about threats 1, 2, and 3, but you will be soon exposed to threat number 4, such as prioritizing your safety on board, always be alert and decisive even when under pressure and stress, properly preparing your retirement. Some seafarers treat maritime claims as easy money for retirement. Being just and honorable with claims should be sadly needed. Some scrupulous seafarers claim permanent disability, yet go back to sail at sea as medically fit on another company or ship owners. Your actions and decisions will not only define your future, but the future of the whole industry. Do your part and leave the rest to us. We will keep the fight for the Philippine seafaring industry, for a country with a 6.1% inflation rate and 3 million people unemployed. Seafaring can contribute more to keeping the economy afloat. We remit $6.5 billion to the Philippines annually, despite all the challenges of COVID-19 or industry challenges. If the government pushes to make the industry more competitive and improve its regulatory and strategic rules, we can increase our market share. With this, I end my presentation, hoping that it helps everybody in making and shaping the future of the Philippine maritime industry. Again, good afternoon. Maraming salamat sa inyong